I'm working on next version of my instrument, basically going through the ideas phase, trying to basically come up with something like grand unified theory between all the different instrument styles that I've seen. And one thing that I've noticed when I was having a conversation with Jordan Rudis on my last night in Cambridge, he was asking about being able to make the key sizes on Musician adjustable. And when I was looking at what Bebop does, what Morphwiz does, what the piano programs do versus Musician, I noticed a similarity that if I can exploit it, I could actually make one interface that would actually allow me to switch between all of them smoothly and continuously. As an example, you're looking at a guitar, you'll see, and you've been practicing for a while, you'll end up having some fretboard vision where you'll see a pattern like this on the strings that go up by force, where you have notes like A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, right? And you would think that it really couldn't be unified with an interface that's based on piano. I mean, because obviously piano is totally different interface, and you couldn't possibly make the same thing. You're just tweaking a parameter, right? Where you have the problem with the piano is on an iPad you would have to make it too long in order to have enough octave range, and access to the accidentals can be a bit awkward in comparison to a guitar. Where on a guitar, if you're playing in a minor scale, you just move it up or down a fret, and the shape is always the same. Whereas on a piano, you can play in a different mode. If it's all on white keys, it's just a matter of moving up and down, but it becomes really awkward when you have to start moving off into different scales. The fingerings end up being different. And if you've been playing piano your whole life, that's not really a problem, but if you've been playing guitar, it's kind of an awkward instrument from that point of view. And there are other kinds of instruments, namely Morphwiz and Bebop are the primary examples, that are scale-oriented. The main thing about these guys is just noting the reality that for the most part, you're going to be working in a fixed scale, and you're not usually going to want to be dealing with the nuisance of black keys versus white keys. And a lot of times these scales aren't even diatonic to begin with. So it's not quite white keys, but it's so you could have a minor scale with a sharp seventh or something like that on these lines, and there wouldn't be like an awkward different shape for doing that. So let me show you an example of what I'm doing, where I got one interface that allows you to switch between all these different styles. Okay, got a problem with the dimensions. First problem is you're using up almost all the screen space on a small number of notes, because the whole design of a piano is that it's long. You can stack up the different sets of pianos, and I'm stacking up by force for reasons which you'll see later. And if you want to slide up and have a lot more octaves, okay, you can change the interface to where each dot is still going to be big enough for your finger to play, but if you need more range, it lets you get more range. And if you want to switch to a style of playing which is more like Morphwiz, where you've actually picked a scale, then you can hide the accidentals while you're playing so that you don't end up bumping into them. Okay. And the other thing is, on a piano, it can be awkward getting access to the black keys when they're not accidentals. Like you'll be looking at a piece of sheet music and it calls for one sharp. We're on an iPad. There's no reason why the note that sticks out shouldn't be the black key, and the white key for the old F should be an accidental now. Okay, so if I have a piece of music that calls for 3 sharps or 2 sharps, then I simply add them in. And if I want to play like a piano player with full access to the accidentals, it's like that. And if I want to run my finger up and down the fretboard and not worry about the accidentals, it's like that. And if I want to play like a guitar player, everything is chromatic, so I end up just making the chromatics everything. Give it a lot of octaves and stretch this range out a bit. And I have musician. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A. I keep going, right? And the neat thing about this is I go back to piano. Somebody says they're playing in D minor, and that's 1 flat, so I put that flat in there. And if I just want to play diatonically and I don't want to be annoyed by all the accidentals, I want a lot of range, then I can do this. Okay. If I basically want to do bbot / morphwiz, whatever, and I'm going to be running my finger up and down like crazy across the high range, I can even make those accidentals disappear completely, or put it up there so I can get access to them. But in reality, if you're going to hit anything, it needs to be big enough for your finger, right? So that's 1 flat, 2 sharps. Okay, so what I've done is I've gone from being able to do a traditional keyboard layout to making it easy to pick whatever diatonic scale that you're interested in, to doing something like musician, which is chromatic oriented, and those patterns are what you would see on a guitar fretboard, to doing something like a bbot or a morph with multiple lines, right? And if you want a lot of expression, you don't need a whole bunch of octaves. You could do something like that where this is forced going up. So we have a grand unified interface for piano style instruments, scale oriented instruments, and string oriented instruments.